Hi, everyone. Hey.
How are you?
It's good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you heading to the beach today? Or is that on
We
the
are, that was on the 17th. Yes. So
okay?
we're good. We're good.
Awesome,
But thank
awesome.
you. Yes, I know it's hard to keep everything straight. So, um, no, it's okay, honey. But yes, I made a little outline, so I'm just adjusting myself here. We always have to have our screens all set up. But yes, it's crazy. Like it's back to school time for kids. Like, oh my goodness. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it sure is. Crazy busy times now.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I'm sure a lot of parents love it because they're like, yay. A lot of my friends are like, "Oh my gosh, if their kids are in school, go to physical school, they're like, oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah. Yep.
They get
Yep.
that break." So, oh man. So yes, well, I can dive in.
Yeah, go for it,
Um,
girl.
Everything straight. So, all right. So, for those of you who are here or watching the replay, I'm Amber Bender. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and physician assistant. And so I love what I do, and I love talking about, a lot of us, have the same kind of spin here and the same kind of outlook. I love talking about getting down to the root cause of health. So, not just guessing, but actually knowing what to do. And I think it just comes from, I think it's important just to know where I come from. A lot of us, our health journey, our what we give in health to others now as healers. We started off as a seeker ourselves. So, in the own challenges of our health journey. So, that was definitely me. Just trying a whole bunch of things and not getting better and not feeling better. And specifically for me, I was really stuck with a lot of food and body challenges. So I dealt with a lot of eating disorders through my history. It was kind of like one after another, name an eating disorder, like I had it. And even when I went through many recovery programs and hospitalizations, things like that. Even when I had fully recovered, I found that my eating challenges kind of followed me wherever I went, and it was always my crutch, like what I fell back on. So if something changed in my life, I was using food to kind of regulate my emotions and manage my stress, and it was always just my thing, and so it was always my coping mechanism. And I began my quest because I knew that there had to be more to it than just the mindset. So I had really,
Mhm.
through therapy, I had really transformed my mindset around food and my body and eating, and that was really solid. But I was still turning to certain foods, and it felt like I was addicted to certain things, and my cravings were still strong. And why am I stress eating when I'm just having really difficult days and things like that? And so, on my quest for more, I found out that yes, the mind is a huge part of it, but the body is also the other part, the other piece. So I had to really find out what was going on in my body that was still driving patterns and behaviors and habits that I was looking to change. And so when I learned about that and I came across functional medicine, I came across the field personally just for myself first, and learned how to really heal my body. And really, it was about finding the imbalances in my body. And we're going to talk about one specific area of that today with hormones. So we'll talk about that more. But the different biological areas of my body. So looking at, yes, hormones and metabolism and gut health and maybe food sensitivities and things like this. Even my genetics as well. What am I predisposed to? And once we looked at that, and we, as my own health team, my own healthcare team, And we could find those areas. There were direct links or correlations between, oh, I can't get off the sugar and I keep having cravings for sweets. Like, here's where that blocking point is actually in my body. Like, maybe my mindset around it is strong. Like, I hear this a lot from people. Like, I know I shouldn't do it. I know I shouldn't have it. And there's some mindset transformation things that we work on there, that the labeling foods as things I shouldn't have and it's bad and good. Yes, but for me, it was like, I really want to progress along on my health journey, but I feel like I can't because I'm constantly going to the things, and it's dominating kind of my nutrition that I know aren't really setting my body up for success. So finding those direct correlations, like with my hormones or with my gut health and my metabolism, that were holding me back, maybe perpetuating these eating habits, and then not allowing me to feel better, not increasing my energy. My weight was steadily increasing through the years, and I thought I was eating clean. I was going to the gym for like 4 hours a day. So that the whole concept of when we go to our conventional practitioners, or maybe even just a nutritionist or a counselor, and not knocking anyone at all, but a lot of times that old conventional wisdom is eat.
I can't tell. I may have lost your sound. I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or if it's you.
Yeah, I can't hear either.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Amber. It started to get real robotic, crackly and robotic. Yeah, you may have to try to think of how to do this. I think you may have to go off and come back on. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. There we are. I hear you now. I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay, let's see.
I think you're good. Can you hear me?
All right, I am going to see if did
You're
this
good.
help at all? No?
Yeah, you're good. Can you see us? Can you hear us? You're good.
I'm going to try to log off and come back in.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Without the AirPods in?
Yes.
How wild. Let's see.
Can you hear us?
Maybe I will just close altogether. Can you hear me? No? You can. Okay. I don't know why. That was weird. Well, we'll figure it out later. Did it all of a sudden just drop off, or was I should I pick up where I left off, or should I start completely over? That's where I was at.
You were getting a little robotic, so maybe go back.
Sorry, guys. That's so
okay.
Annoying. Technology. I swear they're green. They're fully charged. Wild. Okay. I am just going to kind of pick up here. I can't hear you. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep going, guys. So just kind of picking up where I was talking. So it was all about finding out what was actually going on in my body that was keeping me stuck in my health journey, keeping me stuck with my eating challenges I was having. And so what I really want to talk about is one area today. So there were a lot of different things that we looked at that I saw those, like I call them sticking points, or where I was being held back in my actual body, like biological areas of my body. And so one area for me was hormones. And so if I kind of look back at a lot of times in my life, but specifically this time in my life, I was definitely that picture of burnout, or just super, super stressed, chronically stressed. I was managing just long work hours, long days, a couple different jobs, flying by the seat of my pants, running from job to job, place to place, like always having everything on my plate and taking on more. And so I was kind of on the back burner of my priority. And then I was trying to, of my list of priorities, and I was trying to just fit in like these killer workouts at the gym. So I was just going to the gym, doing these like high intense workouts, spending long hours at the gym. You get that picture. You get that picture of kind of running on fumes, if you will. And I like to joke, and I used to tell people, like, you say that you're burning the candle on both ends. And for me, it was like the whole candle was like on fire. I was just absolutely going crazy. And so, and struggling with the stress eating and those types of challenges. So when I got into functional medicine personally, and I learned that there can be areas of the body that are not in balance that can contribute to, yes, symptoms. So that maybe for me, some of my symptoms was feeling really anxious, feeling overwhelmed easily, emotional, yes, stress, and feeling like I wasn't managing that stress. My energy, yeah, wasn't great, but I was kind of in that adrenaline mode all the time, where I would just like use adrenaline to kind of overcome. I was using all of the kind of artificial stimulants through the day, like caffeine. I'm not so much a coffee drinker. I don't even really like coffee, but I was trying to drink coffee to fire through my day, right? Pre-workouts all the time, like the energy drinks that I think about that you get in the store that I can't even imagine right now, like even buying something like that, things like that, right? And so that was really just what I was using to power through my day. And yes, so looking at the body, we can see what's going on that may be contributing to how we're feeling. So those were some of the symptoms that I was having, but then also contributing to some of those behaviors and some of those habits, like turning to the food at the end of the day. Why can't I shut off the eating? So it's that idea of endless snacking. I call it bottomless pit eating, where you feel like you're never fully satisfied. You're always hungry. Like that hunger drive is always there. Turning to foods that I didn't always want to turn to, because I was trying to work on my health, of course, but always gravitating towards those foods, and then feeling guilty about it, feeling shameful about it, feeling like I'm never going to get to where I want to be with my health. And then that leads to the punishing ourselves and blaming ourselves and feeling badly, which can keep us in that perpetual cycle of emotional eating or binging and restricting, right? Because then we lie awake at night. I hear this from a lot of people, and we're kind of making those pacts or those rules to ourselves. Tomorrow is going to be better. Tomorrow I'm going to start. I hear a lot of people. I just talked with someone the other day. I'm constantly starting over Monday. And that was me. It was always like Monday, it's like a clean slate. Yeah. Part of what contributes to that, and we'll talk about this on another day, but that perfectionist mentality too of I need to be perfect. And if I'm not, it's like throw in the towel, all or nothing. Well, I messed up today. I ate something that I wasn't supposed to. I didn't get my workout in today. My sleep is messed up. Well, today is a super stressful day, so I deserve it. I deserve to just eat out tonight and eat whatever I want, right? We kind of say that in the moment. It's like that we're looking for that instant gratification in the moment to feel better. So then we eat food, we feel better in the moment, and then later on, we start beating ourselves up for it. And then we start putting all these unrealistic expectations on ourselves, like perfection with our health journey and specifically our eating challenges. And then here we go again, because we're human and we can't be perfect. And then when we mess up, we do the whole thing over and over again. So that's what I was experiencing. That's what was going on for me. And when we took a look at my functional medicine labs, and particularly my hormones, right? So when we're looking at hormones, we're looking at our stress hormones throughout the day. So we're looking at our cortisol curves, looking at our melatonin as well. So that's when that comes in at night. So just a little background. Your cortisol should rise in the beginning of your day and kind of fall through the day, right? As you're kind of tapering down, right? You need the most energy to kind of get up and running in the beginning of your day, and then that kind of drops throughout your day, right? And then at night, you want the melatonin to rise so that your body is getting into preparation mode. Yes, for sleep, but what I like to look at that is getting into preparation mode for, I call it kind of the re's, but it's that recharge mode, that rest mode, that reset mode, that regeneration mode, that renewal mode, all of those repairing of our body, of our cells, resting our brain, right? All of those things that we need to do. So yes, it's important throughout our day with the cortisol levels kind of following that natural curve that it should, but also with getting our body into that preparation stage for rest, because they both play into one another. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more today about how can we do that? How can we regulate these hormones so that they're following that natural pattern? But when we got my test studies done, took a look at that, my hormones were all over the place. And I was surprised, because here I thought that I was chugging along on my health journey, and I'm like, I'm going to the gym. We hear that all the time, you know? You want to lose weight, you want to feel better, you just need to eat better and go work out more. So I'm like, I'm working out the max that I possibly can, and I feel like I'm eating pretty well right now. That was kind of my reference point at the time, right? I thought I was doing pretty well with my nutrition, but I wasn't actually eating for what was right for my body. So that's a big thing too. And the weight is going up, and I'm still feeling like I'm just on fire all of the time. And I thought that my hormones would look pretty good because I feel like I'm taking care of myself. And it was a mess. But when you look at that picture, right? When I just talked about all the things that are going on, is it actually really a surprise, right? So what was happening for me is, my cortisol levels were kind of all over the place, whereas we looked to kind of follow that natural curve throughout the day. We wanted kind of tapering down. Mine was kind of like very like steady high throughout the day. And then actually at night, I was having a peak of cortisol too. So a lot of times when we see peaks of cortisol throughout the day, I'm asking people, so other clients that I'm working with, what's going on at that time of the day? Maybe we see a peak at nighttime or around dinner time. What's going on right then? And a lot of times it's like, oh my gosh, well, that's when I'm, getting dinner ready and getting the kids ready for school, and I'm shuffling around at home, and I'm preparing for the next day, and all of this stuff is going around, and it's like a circus. Well, that makes sense to me. What's going on right there in your day that's spiking your cortisol then? So now how can we support you so that we can kind of level that out a little bit? So really looking at that cortisol curve throughout the day, and I had a lot of ongoing stress throughout my day. I was flying by the seat of my pants, right? And then also at night, I was working all different kinds of shifts in healthcare. So whether that was day shift or evening shift or overnight shift, my body was not regulated in terms of just sleep and stress and all of that in a normal routine at all. So at nighttime, a lot of times I was doing evening shifts or overnight shifts. And so that's why I was having a little bit of an increase in cortisol, because that's when I would ramp up to go to work and be thrown into the fire in the hospital. And so my body kind of was having that adrenaline kick right? When I was put into that stressful environment. So taking a look at that. So we look really at those cortisol levels, right? From there, we can see what's going on in the adrenal glands, and specifically what we call that HPA axis. So that's just a nerdy way of saying how our hormones connect to the different organs of the body that produce hormones and stimulate them and release them when they should. So the hypothalamus of the brain, right, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. How do those all connect? And for me, and it's just easy for me to give a little bit of a as my story as a reference to kind of illustrate the point, right? Illustrate kind of what as I'm describing the hormones and what's going on. For me, that was incomplete dysfunction. So what does dysfunction look like? It can look like our adrenal glands maybe overworking, right? Or over releasing some of the stress hormones, right? It can look like our adrenal glands being overstimulated, right? So that's almost like that brink of burnout or that burnout mode, the adrenal glands being super stimulated. We call that sometimes stressed and hot. So the adrenal glands are kind of on fire. That's what was going on for me. But it also can look like a different picture. Maybe the adrenal glands are underworking. Maybe they're not pushing out cortisol like they should at particular times of the day, right? So a lot of times what this picture looks like is maybe at the beginning of the day, we're not getting that cortisol spike in the beginning of the day to get our day going. And a lot of times I would hear people say, I just can't get going at the beginning of the day. I can't, get going until I have my cup of coffee. Like I have no energy. I can't even roll out of bed, right? Maybe the adrenal glands are just tired. Maybe they're exhausted, right? They're understimulated. So we can specifically look at what's going on with that HPA axis. What are kind of the status of the adrenal glands? And I do this in two very specific ways. I look at that hormone testing, yes. So we look at what's going on throughout the day with our hormones. And then I also do a very detailed questionnaire as well, asking specific questions about our stress levels, our burnout levels. Like, where are we at? How are we feeling? How are we feeling mentally, physically, and emotionally? Because our adrenals can be responsive to if we're physically exhausted or if we're mentally or emotionally exhausted too. So it's very detailed, right? So when I do this assessment into burnout and stress to see where each individual is at, that gives me the picture of more of that HPA axis, more of that adrenal function. What's going on with the adrenals? Are they overworked? Are they overtired? Are our adrenal glands just absolutely like hot and burning, right? So gives me a little bit of an idea. So when we get that information, right, we get the information of the hormone from the hormone testing, and then from kind of that very detailed questionnaire. And what I'm going to do at the end of this call is I will give that questionnaire if anyone wants to fill it out so that we can kind of get an idea of adrenal status. But taking those two things together, we have that information now. We can kind of see what's going on, how that's contributing then to symptoms. Like, how am I feeling? Like I talked about, the people in the morning where they have no energy when they get up, and it's like I feel like I'm rolling out of bed. It takes every ounce of me to get out of bed in the morning. Or what's it look like during your day? Do I hit this kind of, like a lot of people hit that like 3 p.m. slump through the day? And that's when, like me, I was turning to those artificial stimulants and things to kind of boost my energy artificially, right? So we can look at that. How can we help to manage that so that you're not turning to the artificial sweeteners at 3 p.m., in the middle of the afternoon, right? So putting those two pieces together and then relating it to how you're feeling. How are you feeling throughout the day? What's going on with your health? Are you not getting to where you want to be with your health goals? Well, we look at the hormone testing, and yes, we use that assessment as well, those two things coming together to put together a picture of how can we optimize this now. So now that we have the information that we need, now that we're looking at the testing and we're looking at what level of burnout or stress that you're at, what can we do now to help you out? And certainly we start with nutrition. So I always like to say nutrition is kind of like that baseline, right? So doing an audit of your nutrition. I like to look at it as doing a nutritional audit. So she put it in there. It's perfect. Thank you. So yes, doing that nutritional audit and looking at what types of foods we're eating throughout the day. How can we maximize this? And believe it or not, there are certain foods and certain types of foods that can support our hormones for where we're at, right? And I'll talk about this in a little bit when I get into the next segment of how we're metabolizing our hormones, because that's an important piece that we look at too. But nutrition, how can we use food? How can we use our nutrition to support our hormones, to support that natural kind of cortisol curve throughout the day? So nutrition is always the foundation. So we're looking at that. Possibly there may be supplementation that can help support us, but we never look at one test as a standalone test to say, oh yes, you absolutely need a supplement to help support you with your hormones. We have to look at everything together as a big picture. So meaning gut health, hormones, metabolism, even genetics, before we decide maybe a supplement is the best thing to use. So that's where it's really important to really find out all of the root causes of what's going on, but also to work with a practitioner, because I know a lot of people will run to their health food store or go down the supplement aisle and they have their symptoms, right? They're exhausted, they're super stressed out, they're overwhelmed, they're anxious, and there goes the supplements that pop into our shopping cart, right? Here comes in the ashwagandha, and here comes in the adaptogens and all these things. And we're trying it out because we hear that's really great for energy. That's really good for boosting my mood. That's good for stress. I want to do all of those things. I want to help myself out. And it's meant with good intentions, right? But without knowing the information with testing and without having the complete picture. And that's where working with someone, working with a practitioner or a mentor comes in, so that you know exactly what to do at the right time. So for me, I was doing all of those things too. When I talked about, I thought I was doing all the right things, going to the gym and eating clean and all of that. I was also trying some of these supplements and things that I was hearing. We hear so much information out there that, oh yeah, you should do this for better energy, for better sleep, for, improved cognition, or to help brain fog, all of these things. So I'm trying all of that, right? And then we get my lab test back and my hormones are a mess. What gives? Well, what happened was I was actually adding fuel to the fire and making things worse. So I was taking things that was actually stimulating my cortisol when my cortisol was too stimulated already. My adrenal glands were too stimulated. So I needed to not take those things, actually. It was making things worse. And that's why this can be so precise and so personalized to each person, because how would you know? How would you know that you're actually making it worse? And how would you know what to actually take if you're not just looking at what's truly going on in the body? So just an important note with that, and with supplements, yes, sometimes we will use supplements on the health journey, but it's putting all of the pieces together, right, in a specific time and a specific stepwise approach as well. So we don't want to just throw in a supplement because it might make things worse. And we may need to improve other areas in the body first before we add that in. So I know maybe that sounds like a little vague or a little confusing, but I like to look at it as like a recipe. So when you're cooking something and you have a recipe, there's a certain syntax or a certain process that you follow with cooking, with baking, with cooking, right? So if you're baking a cake, for example, you have your different steps, right? You have your ingredients. Usually you mix the dry ingredients together, then you mix the wet ingredients together, then you put them together in the mixer, you mix them up, right? You're preheating the oven as you're doing this. Then you put it in the pan, you put it in the oven, bake it, right? So you don't want to do things out of order. For instance, you don't want to mix all the dry ingredients and then put it into the oven and then take it out and pour the wet ingredients in there and then stir it up. Like, you'll end up with a mess. You won't end up with the end result that you're looking for, your beautiful, fluffy, nice cake, right? So there's an order to things that we need to really do things in, right? So this is the same with our health journey. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was doing things kind of out of order, and it was ending up being that cake that's a mess. Like, I was a little bit of a mess. And it's not our fault. We hear all of the things. We have good intentions. We want to help ourselves out, but we need to know the proper order of doing things too. So a lot of times what I see with hormone testing and with people that are really burnt out, and then it's affecting, spilling in and affecting their hormones, a lot of times there are other areas of the body that are not in balance that we actually focus on first. In particular, I see a lot with gut health. And you guys hear that a lot too, kind of our overall health. A lot of it stems from or comes from the gut. A lot of times, because the hormones in the gut are very interconnected, and that we can talk about that another day, those connections between the gut and hormones too. A lot of times when we start balancing out the gut, we see the hormones, we see that improve. So if we would just do things out of order and start targeting hormones and throwing supplements like DHEA and testosterone and all of these things, sometimes there is an indication for that if things are really out of order, right, for a supplement. Mm-hmm. But other times we may just have a gut dysbiosis, and when we heal that, then that will help the hormones too. So looking at things with a bigger picture and not just one specific kind of metabolic area of the body. A lot of times people will come to me, and we develop a plan together, a personalized plan. This is how it's going to look, the big outlook of everything. They're like, well, I know my hormones are a mess, so let's just do the hormones, and that's it. And we'll figure it out, we'll figure that out, and then that will help everything. And I'm like, no, we can't do that, because then we'll end up with that messy cake. We may do things out of order. We need to put everything together into context in the body, if that makes sense. So just a little bit of kind of just diving into that a little bit more. But what I wanted to talk about is the next step that we look at with hormones, and that's really how we're metabolizing them as well. So really important that our metabolism cycles, general metabolism, and then also how we're breaking down our hormones, that's really important as well. Why is that important? It's important for detoxification processes in the body, right? Elimination processes in the body. It's important for what we call methylation. And maybe not a lot of people have heard of that term before, but that's when we repair our DNA that's been damaged. And our DNA can be damaged from many, many different things. It can be damaged from foods and the different things that are added to foods. So pesticides and chemicals and kind of inflammatory components in foods. It can be damaged through our exposures, so our environmental exposures and kind of toxins and triggers in that way. It can be damaged just from our lifestyle. So like looking at me flying by the seat of my pants, those high stress levels, right? Lack of sleep. So many, many different ways that our DNA can be damaged in our body. And our body has this amazing repair mechanism to fix our DNA. So our body is so amazing in that it just knows how to take care of things and knows how to repair things that are kind of going a little awry in the body. So this particularly for our DNA, we can repair it through this process of methylation. And so it's important that our methylation is working adequately or functioning adequately in our body, right? And so because if it's not, so if our methylation, if that process of methylation is not coming in to repair our DNA like it should be, if it's a little bit sluggish or it's inadequate or it's insufficient, and there are multiple reasons for why this can happen, right? But that can set us up for a risk if our DNA is impaired, if you will, or damaged, and it's replicating over and over again, making more and more copies. That can lead to abnormal kind of DNA strands, which leads to abnormal cells, which can predispose us to, yes, more health symptoms. Unwanted health symptoms can predispose us or raise our risk for medical illness, medical conditions, disease, and even increase our risk for cancer. So when we're looking at this particular part of our hormones testing and how we are metabolizing our hormones, breaking them down in our two detox pathways of the body, which is liver detox, right? So the phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detoxification, that's what we're looking at in this specific test. And we're also looking at, are we methylating or repairing our DNA properly through one of these pathways? And why is this important? Again, because if we're not detoxifying, right? If we're not repairing our DNA, that can lead to symptoms and how we're feeling, right? And predispose us for these things. So we can actually see the different pathways broken down in our hormones testing. And then this is where I talked about before, I alluded to it before. If things aren't going so smoothly, right? So then we have the information, okay, we can see where things need a little bit of help. I always like to, how can we assist ourselves, assist our body? Then what do we do about it? We want to know what to do. Well, this is where nutrition can really, really come in here, because there can be specific foods that can help with those metabolic pathways, with those pathways of detoxification, right? And methylation and metabolizing our hormones. So that's where it can get really fun on our nutrition journey, because we can really tailor your diet, if you will, or your nutrition plan to you to help that metabolism of hormones, that HPA axis that I talked about, so that we can support you, right? So we're supporting you nutritionally to help you get through that. You know, if your body is really taxed, if your adrenal glands are really stressed, whatever that picture of that adrenal gland status looks like. So we're looking at nutrition, right? We may be looking at supplements, but again, supplements in the grand scheme of things, and putting everything together to see, is this actually something that, yes, we do need, and we need it right now at that specific time and place, right? And then what else do we look at? How else can we help you out based on this stress or this burnout picture, right? Well, specific lifestyle interventions. And with lifestyle interventions, I think that sometimes we hear this a lot, right? And I think that in the world of coaching and health coaching, a lot of times you hear that as the pitch, like, oh, a health coach, they help with managing stress and with lifestyle and things like that. And that, to me, it's very generalized, like, oh yeah, I'll be your health coach, I'll help you manage your stress. And everybody hears that, right? But then why are we so, as a population, why are we all still so stressed out if we need to manage our stress better? Clearly we're not doing that. So what are the actual specific interventions to manage stress? Like, working with a practitioner, you want to make sure, or when you're working with a practitioner, they will actually give you specific strategies. It won't just be like, or it shouldn't just be like, you know, go out there and manage your stress and everything will get better. No. Specifically for hormones, how do we do this? What are those strategies? So getting into this, and specific strategies to use are, do we need to stimulate that system that I was talking about, your rest, your digest, your recharge, your renewal, your recharge, that system, right? That's called our parasympathetic system. That's really tapping into our nervous system. How do we actually have more control over our central nervous system, or specifically our autonomic nervous system? So if we are on fire all day long, like I was, right? Sometimes I still am, and I need to check myself and get things back in place, right? But if we are flying by the seat of our pants, running on fumes, on that brink of burnout, and then it's affecting our hormones, and we look at those hormone curves and that metabolism of all of our hormones, and it's just a mess, like mine was, right? what do? We got nutrition, right? We got possible supplementation. We have lifestyle. Maybe we need to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that limb of the central nervous system that helps to calm things down, that brings down those cortisol spikes throughout the day where they shouldn't be there, that helps to bring the cortisol kind of down that nice slope throughout the day, and then have melatonin increase at night so that you're ready for sleep, that you're preparing your body for that sleep mode. And there's very specific strategies that we use to help activate that part of the central nervous system, that parasympathetic nervous system response. And your coach, your healthcare practitioner, will work with you one-on-one for what that looks like for you. So everybody's different. Everybody gets a different plan. So we really work that in for you, for your lifestyle, what works for you, for that mom that at 6 p.m. is so crazy busy and maybe she can't change her routine. She might not be able to change her schedule at that time of the day because that's just what's going on. It's not about overhauling your life or magically changing your schedule, or nobody's going to all of a sudden leave their job or leave their kids, or something like that. We can't just step out of our responsibilities, but we need to sync it into what works for your schedule and your lifestyle. And that's really what it's all about. It's about kind of hacking what works for you for your life, so that no, you can't change your schedule overall, but how do we fit this in so that we can help you out at that time of the day where maybe we're seeing some reflection of that spike in cortisol, that hormone response, right? And then you're laying down at night and you can't get to sleep. Well, why is that? Because the cortisol levels are spiking when they shouldn't be, right? And you might be laying down for sleep and that adrenaline is still pumping through your body. And it's no wonder why sleep is disrupted, right? Why you're waking up not feeling refreshed in the morning. We need to have this really gentle, lovely balance of flow between the cortisol throughout the day and then the melatonin and those sleepy time hormones coming into play, so that your body knows what to do, knows what to do in the beginning of the day to get up and going, and then to prepare for kind of that restful mode. And I can totally dive all into kind of that parasympathetic response. And with my clients, I really work on especially that later in the day routine and specific kind of rituals for parasympathetic nervous system response for getting us into that restful mode. And we have kind of a whole protocol that we follow to start to really shift things and in our favor for our central nervous system, and to help our hormones out, like I kind of talked about. How can we help out our body? So I'll probably use that for another workshop, because parasympathetic nervous system response is just a huge area and there's so much that I can cover there. So I want to save that for its own special. I don't want to do it a disservice and kind of just glance over that. But that's kind of what everything looks like. And I hope that I wasn't all over the place and that it makes a little bit of sense. And hopefully I didn't talk too like medical nerdy, so that it's not above everyone's kind of understanding here. But good. So yeah, and if there are questions, and if you're like, I really, I think I need to look into this more, please, I'm here. I'm in the community here. It's Alternative Healthcare Solutions. I'd be happy to dive deeper with this with you. And I actually even have, and I didn't share my screen here and walk through the hormones testing, just because I think that can be very overwhelming to see that test. And it would just open a whole other can of worms, kind of walking through that test and what that looks like. So, but I do have a video training where I do walk through that step by step. So I can also share that with you. It's about I can't remember, like maybe 10, 15 minute video where I actually walk through hormone testing, what that looks like. So everything that I was talking about today and the specific areas of hormone and where we can look at burnout and stress and how that's interplaying with our hormones. And then most importantly, what to do about it. So I can absolutely send that to anybody who's interested in just more of the nerdy side, the nitty gritty. What do the actual tests look like, Amber? I want to see that in action. I can send that as well. And Jamie dropped in the chat for our video here. If you want to take that assessment that I talked about, so I talked about the two pieces of hormones, right? And assessing our burnout and our stress status. Are we in that chronic stress state? The two pieces are the hormones testing and then that very detailed stress assessment that will give me an idea of your HPA axis, or essentially your adrenal glands. Where are they? Are they stressed and overworked? Are they stressed and tired? Are they stressed and exhausted? Are they on fire? Are we totally burnt out? Where are we at? Because depending on where you're at and then relating that to your testing, there's a very specific protocol that we can follow for nutrition and for lifestyle and possibly supplementation down the road. So it gives us an idea of where you're at and then next steps. Again, next logical steps, right? Not jumping around and making that cake. The next step of mixing the dry ingredients together, not actually baking the cake. So guys, any questions, any kind of follow-ups, anything? Jamie, I know you're kind of communicating on the side here, but
you probably still can't hear me.
That's what I have for you guys. Going over everything. Yay! Awesome. Good. Well, I am here for questions. I'll kind of just wrap up the workshop if that's okay. Yes, and the replay will be available, and I have that hormones testing video available for you guys and the assessment there. That link is right there too. So super exciting stuff. I could talk about this all day, but guys, I hope that you have a great rest of the day and reach out. Yes, perfect. Do you want me to drop it right here? Drop that video, or I'll just drop it in the community?
Either way, we'll add it to the community.
Doesn't matter. I can put it in this chat right here, or either way. I'll put it in the main kind of community chat because I do have to like log in and grab it. So I don't want to have you guys just kind of hanging while I grab that video. But I'll do that right now. I will put the hormones testing video where I walk through it in the main community chat for the event. So that will be available for you guys too. And you don't have to put your information or anything like that. You just click the video and watch it. So that'll be available for you guys. So yay! Awesome. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and we will be back. And stay tuned all day. Great workshops going on throughout the day. So take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.